In today's video, I want to tell you why I feel that my company is the best choice for your real estate needs in Armenia, Colombia. I'm not going to do that by knocking anyone else. I'm going to put the 6 reasons out there that I feel make us different, make us better, able to handle needs of expats whose expectations might be a little different than they would normally receive here. My name is William Hutchison. My wife and I own Armenia, Colombia Realty for Expats in Armenia, Colombia, where I have lived in Colombia for almost 13 years and in Armenia for almost 12. The first reason I think that we are better is that we have adopted the American Realtor Code of Ethics as our standard operating procedure. There are articles in that document that don't relate to real estate business in Colombia, so those can be disregarded. For example, Article 8, I believe it is, deals with escrow accounts, and there are no escrow accounts in Colombia. Likewise, Articles 14 through 17 deal with agent discipline, disputes, arbitration, those sorts of things. And with no MLS board here, those things can be disregarded as well. A full explanation of that is on our website, Armenia Colombia Realty for Expats.com, where you can read our blog, and along with that announcement about adopting the Code of Ethics, there's a lot of other information there that you might find helpful. The second thing that I think needs to be addressed is fiduciary duty. And it's a very, very important aspect of any real estate transaction, whether it's rental or sales. Fiduciary duty, in its simplest form, is the obligation of the agent to put the interests of who he is representing, whether it's a seller or buyer, as the most important person in the transaction. That means that the interest of the buyer or seller also comes before the interest of the agent. It's quite simple. The possibility of a commission, a financial gain, is not to be made more important than the interest of who the agent is representing. The seller and the buyer, whether the agent is representing one or the other, are the most important things in a real estate transaction. The third reason that I think our company will meet the needs of expats is the experience that I personally have in Canadian finance and residential construction. I've been involved in a lot of negotiations, and I have come to know that a good deal is good for both sides. A good deal is not that one benefits more than the other. You need to have a meeting point that satisfies both the buyer and the seller. It's sometimes hard to reach that point, but as an agent, it needs to be pursued. The fourth thing, I followed the real estate market here in Armenia for the better part of my 12 years. I didn't get into the business until 5 or 6 months ago, when I realized that with my background, I was uniquely qualified to satisfy the needs of both buyers and sellers. I don't take rental listings. I will help people find a rental, especially those that are not familiar with Armenia, because our recommendation is, and always has been, always will be, that if you don't know Armenia and Colombia, you should come here and rent for at least 6 months. So in those situations, I will assist you in finding accommodation in a good barrio where you're safe and you're close to everything. Convenience, you won't have a car, so everything needs to be within walking distance. In Armenia, there's only 3 or 4 barrios that I would really put expats in. The fifth reason, and I'm just going to mention it, integrity. My integrity personally is beyond question, and I'm just going to throw that out, and that's just my opinion, but you can rely on what I tell you. My word is good, and that's as far as I'm going to go with that. The last reason that I think you should choose our company is because we're bilingual. I have a decent level of Spanish, but my Colombian wife is obviously fluent in the language, so we can serve people in the language of their choice. I get by quite well in Spanish and can handle most conversations without any assistance whatsoever. So I can deal with a seller, perhaps a Colombian, in Spanish, while also having an English-speaking client. It isn't difficult for me. Those are the 6 reasons that I believe we are different. In my opinion, in some of the categories, we are better. But I'm going to leave that to you, the viewer, to evaluate and make your own decision. If you are coming here, we would be more than happy to look after you. You will get the North American, Canadian, call it, I'm Canadian, experience in your negotiation, your transaction. You'll be dealt with professionally, the way you would expect to be dealt with by an agent in your own country. There's not many here that can offer what we offer. If you just look at the bilingual aspect of the reasons that I'm giving you for this video, there's very, very few agents here that can speak English. The ones that do, it's a bit of broken English. You can understand, but it isn't a fluent situation. The other thing, as far as English speaking is concerned, that we have is English speaking American lawyers that will handle any real estate transaction for you. That brings me to the end of the video. I hope that it gives you some information. I want you to evaluate things. I don't want to criticize others. I covered the real estate situation in Colombia in my first video. A few videos later, I discussed our standard operating procedure when I announced that we would be taking the American Realtor Code of Ethics into the company and conduct our business the way that Code of Ethics is laid out. So there's those 2 things that you can see on our blog, along with a lot of general information about Armenia, if Armenia is a consideration for you. I am William Hutchison. I, along with my wife, own Armenia, Colombia Realty for Expats. We'd love to have you as a client, but the evaluation of this video and any other considerations is entirely your decision. I live in paradise. You can too.